Breaking news straight out of the gates this morning. Prince Andrew has been arrested by UK police on suspicion of misconduct while he was in public office. He was taken into custody at his home in Norfolk on his 66th birthday. Police are searching his properties as part of the investigation into shared confidential government reports with Jeffrey Epstein. The case was triggered by newly released U.S. Justice Department files related to Epstein. He remains in police custody at this hour. No charges have been announced. Prince Andrew has previously denied wrongdoing related to Epstein. This is a developing story. We'll keep you posted as new information comes in. Thanks for joining us today. Good to see you all. I'm Vanessa Broussard. Also in the news, President Trump will chair the inaugural meeting of his newly established Board of Peace. That meeting will take place any minute now in Washington, D.C. We are waiting for it to begin, and we will bring you live coverage when that does begin. Stick with us for that historic meeting coming up in just moments. Now, while we wait for that, let's talk about election integrity. A lot going on there. For 5 years now, we've said our elections are rigged. We know there are problems with the machines. Illegals voting, even dead people voting. We knew there were mules in past elections bringing in ballots in the overnight hours. All of that was caught on camera. We've seen it. And finally, it's being admitted. Yesterday, a Fulton County, Georgia attorney admitted that non-citizens were registered to vote. At the Georgia State Election Board hearing, Karen Pachuta, attorney for the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections, admitted it on record. Watch.
My name is Karen Pachuta. I am the attorney for the Fulton County Board of Registrations and Elections. I was just retained on Monday. You've probably seen me here before, though. Our office only represents local government clients, and I usually handle all the election offices. So I have been here before. With this case, we do admit that all three of the registrants that were in Fulton County appear to not be citizens. One of them was registered in 2013. The other two were in 2017. None of them have a voting history. Since that time, the system has changed immensely, and especially with Jarvis. Now, there's more affirmative steps that have to be taken, that they have checked yes to everything, including that they are a U.S. citizen. And also you upload basically the proof of their citizenship. So since then, not only has the state enhanced its procedures and the procedure with Jarvis, also the standard operating procedures are newer than they were in 2013 and 2017. You should have received an email yesterday. That packet does include a copy of that portion of Fulton's operating procedures and the steps that registration officials take to verify all the information, to make sure that they are not already registered with their driver's license or other information, and also to include the citizenship information.
And that's not all. A DeKalb County official went on record as well, saying that an illegal who showed up for jury duty had been voting in elections for over 20 years. Here's more.
He indicated that he was a U.S. citizen on his voter registration card. That was a registration that came in by mail. And I guess I should say, with respect to voter Jones, also, he registered in October of 96, and he voted in numerous elections from 1998 through 2018. And I believe it was when he
11 times, right?
I don't know the exact number. I don't have that right here in front of me, but I know he voted in elections from 1998 through 2018. And I think he did go for jury duty, said he was a permanent resident. He was not a citizen, and then stopped voting after that, is my understanding. With the next voter,
A permanent resident, but not a citizen. It wasn't uncovered until he reported for jury duty and stated that he was not a U.S. citizen. Over 20 years, voting in our elections here illegally. And this is why it's so important for the SAVE Act to get passed. It will help clear voter rolls and make voters prove they are U.S. citizens. And then there are those like Mike Lindell who have said all along that our elections aren't secure. And because he spoke up, you know the story, the left has lashed out. Stores canceled him, companies have sued him, all because he spoke up to try to save this country. Mike was recently at Mar-a-Lago. He sat down for an interview to tell his story. In this first clip, Mike talks about how it all started for him with his first phone call from President Trump, and that was back in 2016.
I'm going, well, maybe that dream means something, right? So a year goes by. I remember, you know, it was such a vivid dream from God that, and I would get other dreams like that where they would come to fruition. And I remember being on a plane. I was actually going to do a movie called Church People in the summer of 2016. And I'm on my way to California, and I had bought a magazine about Donald Trump, and we got up to 10,000 feet, where back then, you know, you had to hook your internet up on the plane for your phone. And I had my phone set at that time for when I got an email, it would do a little ding. And I remember putting that magazine down and going, okay, God, if I'm, you know, I need to know. I mean, this is July of 2016, right? So and I was in the bulkhead of the airplane. And I remember that my phone, I go, God, I need to know right now. I said, this dream, am I supposed to meet Donald Trump? And all of a sudden my phone dinged, and it's, Mike, this is Donald Trump. Would you meet me in Trump Tower in New York City? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, God? I mean, it was answered in real time, right? And I'm almost in tears. I'm going, this guy next to me can't speak English, and he's going crazy. And the flight attendant, are you okay? Yes, it's a miracle. It's a miracle. Not that I was meeting him, it's that was answered in real time. And so that meeting came to fruition on August 15th, 2016. And I remember overlooking Central Park at 3 a.m. going, God, what? It was almost putting me in tears. Like, why? I felt like if that meeting didn't happen, it was going to change history. And it was just like, why me? And it was like, it was all this, why me? It just kind of overtook me there. Anyway, that next morning, it was 10 a.m. it was set. And I went over to Trump Tower, and they had told me, you're not going to meet him alone. And whatever you do, don't tell him you were a crack addict, right? And a series of events happened. If you read my book, these series that happened where people kept, it was like 10 of us are going to go in there, or 8 of us. And everyone kept getting pulled off, right? Like it's 10 minutes till we're going in. Pretty soon there was just me. But the day before I'd had this divine appointment, and I had met his longtime assistant, and she could see me way down the hallway. And she came up, she says, you don't have to wait for them to come on. She brings me around the corner, and you got to walk all the way up to his office. And it was just him and I, just like in my dream. And, wow. And I said, he says, Mike, you always wear your cross. Are you a Christian? I said, yes, Mr. Trump. And this is a divine appointment. And then remember, they told me not to say I was a crack addict. Well, about a minute into it, I said, you know, I used to be a crack addict. And I went like that. But it was just like talking to a best friend, or like we had known each other. I was telling him I'm going to have this Lindell Recovery Network to help addicts and help them to Jesus. And he says, I'm going to stop the drugs pouring in from the border, close the border. But it was this businessman, you know, I never met a president. Like I say, I've never got into politics. And I thought, wow, 45 minutes later, I said, you know, he'd be the great president. He solved problems. It was like he'd have problem solution. He told me what he was going to do. And then he asked me all about making products here in the U.S. He wanted my opinion. He was an ex-addict from Minnesota. And he wanted my opinion on, you know, what it was like to manufacture here. So walked out of his office, and my wife and I we went and talked to his employees. And you can tell a lot about a person, you know. He had no agenda. He never asked me for money or nothing. I kind of walked around there and go, wow, he just wanted to hear from me. Yeah. And we went and talked to his employees, and everyone said the same thing. Great man, great leader. But interesting enough, everyone had a personal story that he had helped them out with no strings attached. It was amazing. I mean, and asked all these people. So I went back to Minnesota, and I was the media's darling. Then we had poured millions of dollars into helping addicts and helping your teen challenges, your Salvation Armies, your hurricane victims, you name it. That's what we did. And they would be, the media would be, how many more veterans you hired? How many more ex-addicts? And I was going to do a press release and tell them that I met Donald Trump, you know, and my board, I remember my board sitting there, and they go, half of them are going, you're going to ruin our business, half the business. I'm going, why? It didn't make any sense to me. Remember, I had never voted. I didn't know what are they talking about? Why would that matter that I got to meet this guy? You can't, that's doing your due diligence when you get to actually, and I wanted to put the word out. I think you'd be, great president. Anyway, they upset me by saying that. And they're all going, no, you can't do that. And I walked out in the hallway and my CMO, she came out, she goes, we didn't get all this way by you not listening to God. And, even though I wasn't completely saved yet, I gave my life to Jesus on February 18, 2017.
And that's when it all began for Mike. He was canceled, and it didn't end there. On what was a normal day, pulling into a fast food restaurant, Mike was confronted by the FBI. His cell phone was confiscated. Mike says every chapter of his life prepared him for this moment, though. He has survived it all. And as you just heard, he gives all his glory to God. That full interview can be found on LINDELLTV. Let's go to California now, where some corruption is being unveiled there by independent journalist Nick Shirley. Some issues with the voter rolls there. West Coast commentator Sam MIREJOVSKY, he is with us this morning. Sam, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. You know California well. Again, independent journalist Nick Shirley, he's there right now uncovering lots of voter ID fraud going on. Something else we've all known all along. People voting with no ID needed. The voter rolls need to be cleaned up. What are your thoughts?
Well, let me tell you, I think this fraud story in California is going to blow up in the next few months. I was talking to an attorney friend of mine in LA who is a criminal defense attorney, and he said the number one call that he is getting right now at his firm is from people worried about potentially facing criminal charges for allegations of fraud of public benefits and other matters of money that's just been disappearing out of the system. So there's definitely a growing sense that there's some reckoning coming. Now, you're mentioning elections. That's another huge part of this. Obviously, we've been following, efforts in Congress to get, voter ID passed. It's going to be critical. States like California, even if you aren't a citizen, make it very easy to register to vote the minute you get a driver's license. And it's an attestation on there that you're a citizen, but they don't check it. So the absurdity is you go on there, you get a driver's license, and they give those to illegals. They give them to everybody. And then you can very quickly simultaneously register to vote. And it's all designed to get people who aren't eligible to vote and make it very easy for them to get ballots that then, of course, are harvested by Democratic Party operatives.
Yeah, they're just trusting right now what they fill out on a form, and they're not actually getting the proper documentation that these people are U.S. citizens.
Well, that's right, Vanessa. That's exactly. But I mean, when you say trusting, I think we're being too kind. I mean, it's a deliberate flaw in the system, meant to be exploited, meant to be abused. And you're not going to trust elections to the honor system, and especially not where Democrats are involved. So the point here is, right, there has to be a national standard set by the federal government. The federal government is entitled to do that for federal elections, and it's the Constitution is clear: citizens vote. So to me, it's a no-brainer, and we need to prove citizenship of persons, before they are fully registered to participate in any federal elections.
Yeah, you're right. And I'm right there with you. It is a no-brainer. It's common sense. And sticking with California, while all of this is going on, you have independent journalists who just a couple of months ago, Sam, Nick Shirley was unheard of. And we saw what he did in Minnesota. Now he's in California. You have your governor in Munich putting on an embarrassment on the world stage. Let's talk about Gavin Newsom in Munich.
Well, I love what Trump said the other day, where he was, he had the press asking him questions about stuff on Air Force One. And he goes, from Newsom to AOC to every other leftist clown that showed up at Munich was completely out of their depths. Gretchen Whitmer, too. I mean, every time these people got asked anything, it was just word vomit that came out of their mouths. So with Newsom specifically, he's out of his depth. He's a shallow guy. And he, he just no grasp of the issues. And it's funny because right, in his state, it's, what are they, 60 billion in the hole. You've got Nick Shirley now on the ground. And remember, Nick Shirley is not, he was the one who blew open the fraud story in Minnesota. But in Minnesota, people there already knew about the fraud, the same way people already know about the fraud in California. Nick Shirley is just going to do his thing, and he does such a great job of this, of going on the ground, finding examples of it, making them go viral, and then of course, the prosecutions will follow. As I mentioned earlier, people there already panicking that they'll be implicated and charged criminally.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. We're ready for some arrests. I know all of America is. We have a soundbite of Newsom in Munich. Let's take a quick listen to what he had to say about California, Donald Trump, and then get your reaction.
I hope, if there's nothing else I can communicate today, Donald Trump is temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years. California is a stable and reliable partner in this space. And it's important for folks to understand the temporary nature of this current administration in relationship to the issue of climate change and climate policy.
Donald Trump is temporary. Let's all be like California, he says. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Newsom's even more temporary. Look, I saw this, and my reaction was I think it's really shameful when our politicians go to foreign countries and criticize our president. I just don't like that as a look.
Yeah,
Republican or Democrat, period, full stop. But the problem is that as MAGA is here to stay, the problem, I guess, for Gavin Newsom, I mean, the Trump agenda is going to be carried forward foreseeably for the next 4 administrations under J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio. So, I mean, to me, this is just such a silly thing, a stupid thing to say, and it's probably not true, and more importantly, just doing it while you're abroad is lame.
Let's talk about Hillary. She was there as well. She got put in place by a Czech leader. You just mentioned that, it's just wrong on so many levels to go abroad and talk down on the current president, no matter which side you're on. And she was trying to do so, but she was being put in her place. Let's take a quick listen to that.
We saw the cancel culture. We saw the woke revolution. I don't agree with the gender revolution, the climate alarmism.
Which gender? Women having their rights? No, let Peter go on.
I think there are 2 genders. So, but some of us think that there is more than one, or more than 2. Sorry, more than 2 gender. I think there is male and female, and the rest probably is a social construct. So this is something that went too far.
But does that justify selling out the people of Ukraine who are on the front lines dying to save their freedom and their 2 genders? If that's what you're worried about?
Can I please finish my points? I'm sorry that it makes you nervous. I'm really sorry for that.
It makes me nervous. It makes me but seriously.
That's so great, Sam. I love it, especially from foreign leaders who attack these Democrats. And they're so right. There's 2 genders, this woke culture, all of the wrong things that they're always spewing out there to divide this country and make it woke. I just love that entire interaction.
Well, funny enough, I'm actually coming to you now for my Czech home, my Prague home. I spent a lot of time here. My parents are from the country, so I'm very familiar with Peter Matsinka. He's a right wing politician. He just came to power. He's the foreign minister. Look, here's the most important takeaway from this. If you listen to the mainstream media, you will hear nothing but stories of how Trump and Trumpism and making America great again as a movement has alienated us from our European allies. It's a common theme. And it's complete and total nonsense. What do you see in this clip? You see a popularly elected leader of a European government praising Trump, actually defending Trump to the face of a prominent former politician here herself, and a one-time presidential pretender. So the story here is, right, we're just all being told a bunch of lies. Trump is among a significant portion of Europe very popular. And the same stuff that Trump is fighting at home in America, with the woke left, they're fighting in Europe as well. And we have that, the globalist, scourge is a common enemy. So this clip was fantastic. I love that Peter just shoved it in her face and wouldn't give her an inch. He went viral with it. And Hillary was just dumb. I mean, her whole shtick there about sexism and what wasn't obviously what Matsenko was talking about. And I think she came off looking very poorly.
Right. AOC did, Newsom did, Hillary did. That's just the Democrat way. A lot of them need to be schooled on foreign policy, even national issues as well. Let's talk about Hillary. She will be testifying next week along with Bill Clinton when it comes to the Epstein files. Big breaking news this morning when it comes to Prince Andrew being arrested in relation to an investigation of the Epstein files. What's your thoughts on his arrest?
Well, my first things first, for everybody, thinking that this is a accountability for sex crimes, the charges against Andrew, as I understand them, deal with public corruption. He had an official role with the British government, and he took confidential, secure information, British information, and gave it to Epstein. So yes, this arrest seems to be a consequence of the Epstein files being released. It doesn't have, as of yet, anything to do with sex crimes. It has basically revelations that he fed Epstein, information that he shouldn't have. Hillary Clinton, just to talk about her briefly here, there were some pictures that came out of Bill in a hot tub with some suggested young women. And she downplayed it again.
She defended it. She defended, yes.
And you know what? That ought to be the headline every day for the rest of time as we talk about the Epstein files. To her, it's just another bimbo eruption, to pull a famous quote out from the 1990s. It was just another, and she is so dismissive of it, so unbelievably corrupt, so unbelievably callous. To me, the Clintons are just, they are discredited entities. Nobody should be taking them seriously. They are done for has-beens. And to the extent that you can reach Bill with any statute of limitations or beyond any statute of limitations here on this matter, I mean, he ought to be indicted, and probably Hillary herself, for covering some of this stuff up. I mean, it is absolutely shameful.
From Monica Lewinsky to now, I mean, this is a woman who stood by her man, but she comes up with every excuse possible to make him seem innocent in everything that he does. But we'll be monitoring that closely next week, coming out of Washington, D.C., as they both testify next week before Congress. But happening today, we are awaiting, Sam, the President's Board of Peace event. It's the inaugural meeting taking place any minute. It was supposed to take place at the top of the hour. We did see earlier the motorcade leaving the White House heading to the event. So we'll bring live pictures to our viewers of that when it begins. We're on standby from the White House. What's your take on the Board of Peace? I mean, this is huge for President Trump to put this together and so many countries being on board.
Yeah, two things about it. Number one, to me, I have long believed that the UN should just be, the building should be blown up and demolished and turned into something more useful. The UN is completely toothless and powerless. Example after example, but Ukraine chief among them, didn't solve anything there. War continuing, Gaza, ditto. So the UN is done for, right? And I love that Trump is coming up with an alternative, a real, entity that is capable potentially, right? Certainly has been proven the last year that Trump knows what he's doing and knows how to bring about peace, brokered several key peace deals. So if he can replicate that, that recipe, that secret sauce, if you will, and build an organization around it where we, the U.S., play a pivotal role, then I'm 100% for it. Plus, Zohar Mamdani in New York is looking for private property to take from people and make affordable housing. So I think the UN building, and that property would be a perfect prize for him. No.
Yeah, absolutely right. So again, we are awaiting this. I can't wait to watch it just because I want to see and hear his plans and what comes next with his thought process on the Board of Peace, because it's something we've never really seen before. And so just like you mentioned, this is a historic day as we wait for that to begin. Again, to our viewers at home, we will send you live pictures, have that for you as soon as it begins. A lot going on with narco-terrorism. The Department of War got a lot of flack from the Democrats when it comes to blowing up these boats. Pete Hegseth has been on his tour going around, and he's getting so much love from our military and workers from all over the country. I know he visited NASA recently. The people are loving what they're seeing. The Democrats don't love it, but the true American people, patriots out there, love what he's doing. If you were to rate Pete Hegseth, Sam, on a 1 to 10 scale on the job he's done in the last year, what would you give him?
I give him a 12. I'm telling you, Vanessa, I think he is one of the better picks. Surprising, even, I will say this, surprising picks. We're unwoking the military. I read a story yesterday, I think, where people were complaining of some sources had come forward to Catherine Herridge about top firings, and a lot of people have been let go. It's exactly what the military needed. It needed a top to bottom, cleanup. And the other comment I'll have about narco-terrorism is the other cabinet secretary that's phenomenal, I think, is Marco Rubio. And I loved Marco Rubio's defense back at that summit conference in Munich, security conference, where all the Democrats were just kind of coming up with blabbing about stupid stuff. Marco Rubio had a really great quote that he repeated over and over again, which was, hey, we don't expect you to agree with us as our allies 100% of the time. Speaking specifically of Venezuela and the war against narco-terrorism, in our hemisphere. But he goes, look, we're acting in the best interest, in the sovereign interest of the United States of America. And sometimes we'll agree on that, and sometimes we won't. It's okay, and we'll respect you for any differences we may have with you. So I love this team. I think Hegseth and Marco Rubio are phenomenal, and I trust them. With Iran looming on the horizon, that's a story that could break any minute. With what's going on and the buildup of troops and air power. But I love this team, and I love what they're doing for our military. And you mentioned how happy the troops are and how much they love Pete Hegseth. I think it's just a new dawn and a fresh start for the men and women in our armed forces. Very excited about it.
I am too. And, during the last couple of years, we saw a decline in our military, still the best in the world, but they were getting discouraged. I mean, they had an administration who allowed men to wear women's dresses in uniform, high heels in uniform. It was the craziest thing that I've ever seen. Like, this is what's on our front lines. This is what's leading our military. And so now, as soon as Hegseth's put into office, he says, we're done with this. You're out. And so he held a meeting with the top brass of the military and said, if this is you can get up right now and go home. We're not putting up with this anymore. And so they have the best of the best on the front lines. They're not putting up with any type of wars. We talk about President Trump with all of the peace deals he's making, speaking with the Board of Peace any moment now. The narco-terrorist boats, they are stopping this war on drugs, not only with the border, but also in the sea as well. And he is doing a great job. I give him a 12 along there with you, because he is better than a 10, doing a very good job with the Department of War. Let's talk about you for a second. I know you are there overseas with your family, but you're still doing your show. Let's talk about your show and how people can listen to it.
Well, thanks, Vanessa. I appreciate it. Yeah, a What's Right show. 3 words. You'll see my face when you look it up wherever you get your podcast. It's just a on demand wherever you get your podcast. Click to follow me. Also follow me on Twitter, on X, at What's Right Sam. That's my handle. And I take the show on the road with me wherever I'm at. And so right now I'm in Europe, but I'll be back stateside in a week and a half, and so I have some fun with it, and I appreciate your support.
Yes, and we appreciate you and all that you're doing to help save this country, getting the word out on your podcast, on your show. And Sam, we hope to see you soon. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Oh, good to be with you. Thanks, Vanessa. Take care.
Well, we've talked about Minnesota. We just talked about California. A lot coming out from those states in recent weeks. Now, Michigan is in the hot seat. Here's the latest from our Allison Steinberg.
Well, Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey is under fire for allegedly withholding SNAP records from the Trump administration after Venezuelan nationals were linked to a massive food stamp and unemployment fraud scheme. More confirmation that blue states are protecting fraudsters.
We walked into El Primo restaurant in Leominster looking for answers, but no one was available to take our questions. What's advertised as a home for authentic Dominican dishes, federal officials say was a hub for fraud.
These defendants used stolen identities from victims across the country.
U.S. Attorney Leah Foley told reporters that the owner of El Primo, 37-year-old Raul Fernandez Vicioso, and 3 others, including 2 Venezuelan nationals, used stolen identification to fraudulently collect more than $400,000 in federal food assistance benefits, or SNAP, and $700,000 in federal unemployment benefits from Rhode Island and Massachusetts. These pictures from court documents showing how the group allegedly used the funds to buy food in bulk and use it in the restaurant.
And this is only the tip of the iceberg. A new report from a Democrat state auditor, Diana DiZoglio, found that nearly $12 million in public assistance fraud was identified during the 2025 fiscal year. The findings stem from investigations into Mass Health and other social service agencies that provide benefits to low-income families, seniors, children, and people with disabilities. There seems to be a running theme here with the child care, much like the Quality Leering Center in Minnesota. So how exactly did this fraud get swept under the rug so easily? Well, it just so happens that Massachusetts is the only state where the governor's office is exempt from a public records audit. Gee, how convenient.
The state's auditor, Diana DiZoglio, says these findings underscore the need for greater oversight.
Kaylee, actually here in Massachusetts, we are the only state in the nation that unfortunately has a legislature, governor's office, and court system that exempt themselves from the state's public records law. So this audit has been viewed by many as simply a way to get access into the inner workings of the legislature, namely getting access to basic financial receipts and taxpayer-funded records such as state contracts.
If the governor is exempt from audits and DiZoglio only uncovered $12 million from the records she found, then how do we know this fraud doesn't extend into billions? Well, we just might have a clue. A whistleblower inside the state's SNAP system says the $12 million figure may just be a fraction of the true scale. According to the Boston Herald, the employee claims billions of dollars poured into Massachusetts migrant shelter program triggered an explosion of fraud so widespread it may have drained benefits from the legitimate recipients. The whistleblower says the spike in fraud tracked directly with the surge in shelter spending and warns what investigators have uncovered so far may only scratch the surface. And of course, that raises a much bigger question. How much are we, the taxpayers, footing the bill? Reporting for LINDELLTV, I'm Allison Steinberg.
All right, we are still awaiting that Board of Peace meeting to take place in Washington, D.C. We saw the motorcade leaving the White House about 30 minutes ago, heading to the event. We'll take you there live as soon as it begins. We are on standby with the White House for that to begin. So as soon as that begins, we'll bring it to you. Stick around for that. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Talk is cheap when it comes to saving our country. We're not just any cell phone service provider. We're Patriot Mobile. It's not enough to simply talk about values. We live them. Defending life, protecting our First and Second Amendments, and celebrating our military and first responder heroes. We're boots on the ground making a difference. We're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider with nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks and 100% U.S.-based customer service. Join Patriot Mobile today and make an impact every time you use your cell phone.
America's founders warned that without knowledge and virtue, no nation can remain free. Yet through the steady infiltration of Marxist ideology, we have been stripped of both, and we are no longer a moral and educated people. To save America, we must spark nothing less than a national renaissance. That's why you need Freedom Talk Magazine, the journal of truth and virtue. We cultivate enlightened thinking and principled living, offering unique insights into the issues and remarkable people defining our world. Sign up today for your free subscription to Freedom Talk Magazine and join the new American Renaissance.
The Board of Peace meeting is just now getting started in Washington, D.C. We take you there now live.
Well, thank you very much. This is a big day and lots of people watching, and especially from other countries, the leaders of, as you know, the other countries, because we have a large group of leaders, and the ones that aren't here are watching on Zoom. I hope they enjoy it. And the press, we appreciate it very much, so respectful. You've been so respectful of what we're doing. What we're doing is very simple, peace. It's called the Board of Peace, and it's all about an easy word to say, but a hard word to produce, peace. But we're going to produce it, and we've been doing a really good job, and some of these leaders that are with us have helped me very much during just this first year. We have a first year like probably no other ever in our country, because we settled 8 wars and I think a 9th to come. It's turned out to be a tougher one. I thought that was going to be the easiest one, but with war you never know what's easy and what's not so easy. But we've had a great relationship, and I've become friendly with so many of the people, and I appreciate you being here. These are great people, these are great leaders, and the people that are watching by closed circuit and open circuit in many cases. They're so proud of it, they want it to be open. But they've become incredible friends of mine. And, you know, we rebuilt our country in my first term, and now we're at a point that the United States has never seen before. We broke 50,000 on the Dow. They said that would take 4 years. We broke 7,000 on the S&P. They said you couldn't do that within 4 years. It would be impossible. And when I came in, they were all saying, if you could get to anywhere close to 40, 45,000, it would be amazing achievement over 4 years. Well, we hit 50,000 in the first year, and we hit 7,000, which was actually tougher to do, according to the Wall Street geniuses. We hit 7,000 in the first year. They said it could take 4 or 5 years. They'd be very happy. It would have been a great job. We did it in 1. But we're doing a great job. Board of Peace is one of the most important and consequential things I think that I'll be involved in. We've been involved in a lot, and really I've been involved in a lot with the people up here. We work together on ending wars with their country. Some of the wars were 32 years long, 32, 34, and a 37. That's a long time, and we ended it in about 2 days, each one of those. But we have some other work to do, and we're getting it done. Gaza is very complex. It's been amazing. I want to thank Steve and Jared for an amazing job. Marco's over there watching. Everybody's fantastic. And JD, what a job. They're all doing. It's a team. I think it's the best team ever assembled. And you see that by the results. So today is a tremendous honor to welcome you all to the United States Institute of Peace for the inaugural meeting of the Board of Peace. Very important. I believe it's the most consequential board, certainly in terms of power and in terms of prestige. There's never been anything close, because these are the greatest world leaders. Almost everybody's accepted, and the ones that haven't will be. And some are playing a little cute. It doesn't work. You can't play cute with me. But they're playing a little bit. But they're all joining. Everybody. Most of them very immediately. A few that we really don't want because they're trouble. Take care of them. But this is the most prestigious board ever put together. You know, I've seen some great corporate boards. I've seen some great boards, period. It's peanuts compared to this board, because we have virtually everyone is the head of a country other than Johnny, but he's the head of soccer, so that's not so bad, right, Johnny? I like your job the best, I think. And by the way, your World Cup has set every single ticket record in the history of soccer. In the history, nobody's ever seen anything like it. The sales are virtually complete. Nobody's ever seen anything, so congratulations. You made a good decision. We did it together. Thank you, Johnny. Great guy. So I want to thank the many leaders and dignitaries who have traveled great distances and lengths for the important gathering that we're at right now. This building was built for peace, and nobody knew what to name it. And then Marco named it after me. I had nothing to do with it. I swear I didn't. I swear. I had no idea. They said, there's a surprise coming. I didn't know that surprise. I thought they were going to give me a lot of money or something, maybe cash. Could always use some extra cash. But I came, and they stopped the beautiful beast. I got out very safely, I'm sure, and looked up, and there it said, Donald J. Trump on the building. And when I say that had nothing to do, nobody believes it, and that's okay. But I appreciated it. That was Marco and JD and a group got together, and they did that, and I just thought it was very nice. And it makes me work harder. We're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to make this building much more important. It's brand new. They built it for peace, but nobody occupied it. You know, nobody knew what the purpose of it. But the architecture is so beautiful, and it was with the meeting rooms, the reception rooms. It's really amazing. Who would think that it was built without anybody in mind or anything in mind, and then the State Department took it over. They liked it. Marco came over one day. He saw this. He said, this building is great. And he actually claimed it, right? He claimed it. And that's what he does. Where is Marco? I said, Marco, is that true? You claimed this building. You took it away from about 5 groups that wanted it. That was done very quickly, very methodically. But it was really, really built so beautifully in such a beautiful building. But we worked together to ensure the brighter future for the people of Gaza, the Middle East, and the entire world. I think that the Board of Peace, because it's mostly leaders and unbelievably respected people, but mostly leaders of Middle Eastern countries, countries from all over the world, and they've been very generous with money also. And the United States, which I'll say in a moment, is also very generous with money. Because there's nothing more important than peace. And there's nothing less expensive than peace. You know, when you go to wars, it costs you 100 times what it costs to make peace. We have a man at the end right there that's smiling because you learned that after 30 years of fighting, right? 30 years of fighting, we got it done. I want to thank you very much. That was a great thing you did. You and your new friend, they came to my office and they said, I've been fighting for 22 years. Now you're there for 23 years, right? But I've been fighting for 22 years. That's all I've done is fight this gentleman. And his counterpart was there for 7 years. He said, I've been there for 7 years. All I've done is fight this gentleman. And we had it worked out in about 24 hours, right? And it's been a good piece of that. I think they've become friends. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that, but I think so. I think they've become friends, right? Right. Great. Stand up. Stand up. These are 2 tough cookies, too. You think that was easy? It wasn't easy. These are 2 tough people, good people, but tough people. But, you know, we're in the Oval Office, and we were getting near. But the one was at one side of the room. I have 2 chairs right in front of the desk, the beautiful, resolute desk. One's over here. One's on the other side of the room. I said, folks, could you get a little closer? Well, I don't. They felt very uncomfortable. You know, they've been killing each other for 32 years. So I say, can you get a little closer? After 1 hour, they were right next to each other. We made a deal. They hugged, they signed, and we had peace with 2 very important countries, and I'll never forget it. So they started off a little weak, and they ended up really strong, and you can be very proud of yourselves. It was a beautiful thing to see. Thank you. Look at that. Can you believe it? 32 years. Thank you. Thank you very much. But we're honored to be joined today by Prime Minister Rama of Albania. President, where is President Milei? You're another one, I'll tell you. Where is President Milei? I endorsed him. I'm not supposed to be endorsing people, but I endorse, when I like people, you know, I've had a very good record of endorsing candidates within the United States. But now I endorse foreign leaders, including Viktor Orban, who's here, and others. And I endorse this gentleman, Milei. He was a little behind in the polls. He ended up winning in a landslide. I just endorsed the Prime Minister of Japan. She was in a tight race, but was probably going to win. And she won in the largest number in the history of Japan. So she likes me a lot. But it was an honor, and you're doing great. Oh, look, they're sitting right next, Victor. I think, but ultimately, I think I'm going to end up endorsing. Hey, look, as long as it works, it's okay with me. But the endorsement seems to be working in foreign countries, too, so that's good. But nice to have you both, Victor. Nice to have you both. Very proud of you. The Prime Minister of another, really just a great guy, Pashinyan of Armenia. President Aliyev of Azerbaijan. I love saying that name now. You know, at the beginning it was giving me a hard time. Now I love saying it. It's a beautiful name. I love it. His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa of Bahrain. Bahrain. Thank you. Thank you. Where are you? Where are you? He's so rich, he can sit there. He can sit wherever the hell he wants. You know, he could sit up in the corner. He could sit up top. He might take a piece of this building, Marco. He'll take 25% of the building for about $6 billion. Thank you. And you've been very generous also. We appreciate it. Prime Minister Hun Manet of Cambodia. Raise your hand wherever you may be. Because, yeah, hi, how are you? Congratulations. That was another one, right? We did a good job with that one. Prime Minister Madbouli of Egypt. Thank you very much, and say hello to the General/President. Okay. Prime Minister Orban of Hungary, who has my complete and total endorsement for election. Not everybody in Europe loves that endorsement, but that's okay. He does an unbelievable job. He's done an incredible job on immigration, unlike some countries that have hurt themselves, but they're working on it. But I just want to let you know, you have my total and complete endorsement, and I'm putting it out. I already did, but I'm putting it out again. And you're coming up with an election, and I think you should be good. I'll tell you, Milei did pretty well. He was a little down, right? And then he ended up winning in a landslide, so that's pretty good. You're going to do great, Victor. Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it. You run a great country. A man that I really like a lot is, he's definitely tough. I don't want to fight him. President Prabowo of Indonesia. Thank you very much. Please, this is a big guy. I tell you, I said, how many people in Indonesia? He said, like 240 million. I said, no, say it again. How many? It's a big country you have. And you do a great job and respected by everybody. And thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Mr. President. President Tokayev of Kazakhstan, thank you very much. What a country that is. It's a wonderful country and a rich country, in case anybody has any question. We have some very rich people here today. President Osmani of Kosovo. President, thank you very much. Great job you're doing, too. Thank you very much. Prime Minister Sharif, I like this man, of Pakistan, because there was some fighting going on when I got to know him, and your Field Marshal, General, great General, great Field Marshal, a great guy. And I got to meet the Prime Minister. And he said in front of our Chief of Staff, Susie Wells, who's right here, he said, you know, nobody knows this, but I believe that President Trump saved 25 million lives when he stopped the war between us and India, right? You made that statement. I said 25 million lives, could have been much more, actually. But it was really a beautiful thing. You said that in front of a group of people they walked out. They don't think about it, but you're talking about that kind of lives. That war was raging. Planes were being shot down, right? And it was Pakistan and India. And I got on the phone with both of them, and I knew them a little bit. I knew Prime Minister Modi very well, actually. But I got to know Pakistan through a little trade. They were trying to make too good a deal, and I got a little upset with them. And in the end, they got what they wanted, right? And they made a good deal. And I got to like them, the Prime Minister, the Field Marshal, who's a tough man, a tough, good fighter, right? Good, serious fighter. I like good fighters, actually. And when I heard that they were fighting, I picked up a certain newspaper. I won't tell you which one because it's fake news generally. But I picked up this newspaper and I saw that Pakistan and India were really going at it. And then it got worse and worse, and many planes were shot down. It was all out. And I called them and I said, listen, I'm not doing trade deals with you two guys if you don't settle this up. They said, no, that has both of them. They didn't want to do that. I said, no, it has to. If you don't do it, I'm not doing a trade deal. We're not doing a trade deal. And they do a lot of business with the United States, and they sort of softened up all of a sudden. And all of a sudden I read where there was a little bit of a pullback by one, then the other, and all of a sudden we worked out a deal, right? But I said, if you fight, I'm going to put 200% tariffs on each of your countries, which essentially makes you not allowed, you can't do any business. One of them, I won't say which one, said, no, can't do that. They both wanted to fight. But when it came to money, it's nothing like money. When it came to losing a lot of money, they said, I guess we don't want to fight. And we solved that deal in 2-3 days, right? And we did. We said, these are two very powerful nations. These are two nuclear nations. And I don't want to say what was going to happen, but, bad things happen. So, Prime Minister, I want to thank you because that was a very big deal. People have no idea. A lot of them say, oh, well, they weren't fighting. They were fighting. 11 jets were shot down, very expensive jets. And they were all in. Both of them were all in, and now they're not. And I think we'll always be able to settle up with them. I really do. I think you're going to have, it's a lot of progress was made even in the relationship. And Prime Minister Modi also, he's a great man. He's a great guy. They're all great. But I was very proud of it. President Pena of Paraguay is here. President, thank you very much. Young, handsome guy. It's always nice to be young and handsome. Doesn't mean we have to like you. I don't like young, handsome men. Women, I like. Men, no, I don't have any interest. Good. That's right. That's right. Thank you very much. You're doing a great job, too. His Excellency, Prime Minister Al-Thani of Qatar, just a great man, please, a great man and highly respected. And he's working with a man who is amazing. I always say he needs a public relations agency because you do so much good and they have you down as evil. And you're not evil. You help us so much and you're such a good ally. And I just want people to know that. And the Emir is incredible, smart, as smart as you can be, a great leader. And he cares so much for the people. And he cares so much for the Middle East. So I want to thank you very much and send my regards. Your country has been a great help. So, surprising to some of the people writing out there, but now they'll start changing their tune because it's true. I only tell the truth. Prime Minister Don of Romania, wonderful people. The Romanian people are fantastic, fantastic people, like you're fantastic. And a lot of them come and work in this country and help us in this country, as you know, and it's they are just really, really solid people. President Mirziyoyev of Uzbekistan, who is where? There he is, and a friend of mine. He's got one of the most difficult names in history, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. Your country's doing great. You're doing great. And just no problems. Every time I see him, nope, we're doing good. No problems. And General Secretary To Lam of Vietnam. Vietnam is incredible. as a country and as a force. And it's an honor to have you, a really great honor to have you. A lot of respect for your country. We'll also want to express my gratitude to Vice President J.D. Vance, who is a fantastic man. He's a fantastic talent. He was a great student. He went to one school. He graduated. You know, most people, if you watch some of the people that were at the event in Munich, they didn't graduate quickly from college. They had everything they could do. There was one young, attractive woman. She was unable to answer questions. And she didn't do so well like J.D. did in college. J.D. graduated in a 4.5-year college in 2 years. And then he went to Yale and he graduated at the top of his class, went to the military grade. But when he went to Yale, there was one person that was marginally ahead of him, so he married her. Can you believe it? He married the person that was ahead. I don't know.